Hello and welcome everyone to the daily news analysis of 1st of February 2024। तो आज के इम्पोर्टेंट आर्टिकल वन बाई वन देखते हैं। पहला आर्टिकल है ईडी अरेस्ट हेमंत सोरेन चंपाई टू टेक ओवर एज सीएम। देन व्हाट मेक्स द इंडिया फ्रांस स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप टिक। देन फाइंडिंग लाइट इन म्यांमार's darkness, rising tension in Korean peninsula, Biden government continues to discuss drone deal according to embassy. Core sector output growth slowed to 14-month low in December. Then Maldives turned to Sri Lanka for medical evacuation support. फर्स्ट आर्टिकल जो है ईडी अरेस्ट हेमंत सोरेन चंपाई टू टेक ओवर एज सीएम। The Enforcement Directorate on Wednesday arrested Hemant Soren in a land scam case soon after he resigned as the Chief Minister of Jharkhand. The resignation came after the ED officials questioned him for more than 7 hours at his official residence in Ranchi. Jharkhand Governor CP Radhakrishnan has accepted his resignation. He has challenged his arrest in the Jharkhand High Court. The hearing will take place on Thursday. Many tribal bodies issued a call for a ban on Thursday to protest against the arrest. Senior Jharkhand Mukti Morcha JAM leader and Transport Minister Champai Soren was elected leader of the legislature party soon after Mr. Soren Hemant's resignation. Mr. Champai is a five-time MLA from Saraikela. Hemantji has resigned and we have submitted the letter of support to the governor to stake claim to form the government. At present, we have 43 MLAs and 4 are in hospital. We have the support of 47 MLAs. The governor is yet to give the time to form the government. We have submitted the letter with the signature of 43 MLAs, Mr. Champai said. After coming out of the Raj Bhavan, the form of the government, the ruling alliance needs 41 MLAs. Earlier in the day, members of the JAM-led alliance tried to meet the governor to seek parade of MLAs before him to prove the majority, but the governor refused to meet them. We are requesting the governor to allow Mr. Champai to take oath as Chief Minister as we have elected him as the legislature party leader, said Banna Gupta, a cabinet minister. FIR against ED. Mr. Hemant on Wednesday lodged an FIR against the ED officials and said that the search on his Delhi premises on Monday was to harass him. After a half an hour meeting with the governor, Mr. Hemant was directly taken to the ED office in the Ranchi. A team of ED officials visited Mr. Hemant Soren's Delhi residence at Santiniketan on Monday for questioning. However, he was not found at his residence and remained untracked traced for 32 hours before he was spotted in Ranchi on January 30. On January 20, the ED questioned him for over 8 hours at his official residence and recorded his statement after he skipped 8 summons by the agency. The case pertains to the alleged purchase and sale of tribal land by forging documents between 2020-2022. When Mr. Hemant Soren was being questioned, there was a law and order situation in the state capital Ranchi, and workers of ruling JMM held protest march near the CM's house as well as near the Raj Bhavan. In the FIR lodged on Wednesday, Mr. Hemant Soren named 4 ED officials: Kapil Raj, Devvrat Jha, Anupam Kumar, and Aman Patel. The JMM leader described himself in the affair as a member of a scheduled tribe, stressing that the search on the New Delhi premises was to harass and malign his name and his entire community. The purported search was done without my notice for nor nor under my presence on January 29, 2024 at New Delhi by the above named persons, my family members and I suffered and experienced immense mental, physical, psychological, emotional harm because of the act committed by the above named persons and unknown others who are not members of the SC and ST. Mr. Hemant Soren said in the affair. He has also dismissed the reports of a seizure of car cash from his New Delhi premises. Then next article, what makes the India-France strategic partnership tick? The French President Emmanuel Macron was the chief guest at the India's Republic Day this year, making it his third visit to India after his 2018 state visit and last year for the G20 summit hosted by the India. Coming within 6 months of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit on July 14, 2023, as chief guest at France Bastille Day, it is clear that the two countries do share a strategic partnership that is special. It is no secret that United States President Joseph Biden had been invited initially, and his visit was to be followed by a Quad summit that had been accepted by the Australian and Japanese leaders when Mr. Biden declared his inability to travel. The fact that Mr. Macron stepped in the readily highlights in the personal ties that he and Mr. Modi have established and the importance they attribute to the relationship. Origins of strategic convergence. French President Jacques Chirac was the chief guest at Republic Day in 1998 when India established its first strategic partnership. In a significant statement, Mr. Chirac declared that India's inclusion from the global nuclear order was an anomaly that needed to be rectified. The strategic partnership was tested when India undertook its series of nuclear tests in May 1998 and declared itself a nuclear weapon state. When compared to other countries, France was the first country to open a dialogue with India and displayed a greater understanding of India's security compulsions. It was the first P5 country to support India's calm for the permanent seat in claim for a permanent seat in the expanded and reformed United Security Council. India and France have a valued strategic autonomy in their own fashion. India adopted non-alignment after the Second World War. France was one of the founding members of North Atlantic Treaty Organization NATO in 1949 and hosted the NATO headquarters. It withdrew from its integrated military command in 1966 due to reservation over US insistence on subordinating French nuclear deterrent to NATO and accepting any collective control that General Charles de Gaulle felt would dilute French sovereignty, forcing NATO to shift its headquarters to Brussels. After the Cold War ended, both countries were quick to espouse the virtues of multipolarity. French discomfort with a unipolarity system was clear when French Foreign Minister Hubert Védrine described US as a hyperpuissance and openly spoke out in favor of multipolarity, forming a natural convergence with India's ambitions of seeking strategic autonomy as a resident power in Indian Ocean. France was quick to realize the geopolitical focus shifting from the Euro-Atlantic into Asia-Pacific and decided on India as its preferred partner in the region. Both France and India shared a common trait of civilization exceptionalism and pride themselves on their argumentative intellectualism but have wisely refrained from the preaching to each other. Though part of the Western world, France is a non-Anglo-Saxon nation found it easier and more natural to engage with India on equal terms by building the partnership. The nuclear dialogue established in May 1998 grew into a broader strategic dialogue and was elevated to the level of a national security advisor from the original three pillars of nuclear space and defense, and the agenda gradually expanded to include counterterrorism, intelligence sharing, and cybersecurity issues. Convergence has also evolved on global challenges such as climate change, reforms of multilateral development institutions, globally beneficial artificial intelligence, and as the joint statement indicates, ongoing conflict in Ukraine and Gaza. On the defense side, six Scorpion submarines have been built by Mazagon Dock ship builders limited with the transfer of technology from the naval group. Technology sharing memoranda of understanding and acquisition of short-range missiles and radar equipment were concluded. Joint exercise between the navies, air forces, and the armies were instituted in 2001, 2004, and 2011, respectively. The government-to-government agreement for 36 Rafale aircraft salvaged out of the prolonged negotiations for the original 126, which were at an impasse, has been concluded. Its offset target of 50%, nearly 25,000 crore, has helped in building up India's budding aeros- aerospace industry. During Mr. Modi's visit to France last year, an announcement regarding a further acquisition of three more Scorpions with enhanced features of an air independent propulsion and 26 Rafale M aircraft for India's new aircraft carrier was made, with negotiations to be concluded by the end of the 2024. Mr. Macron's visit saw the conclusion of a India-France defense industrial roadmap that fits in with the goal of Atmanirbharta. Tata Advanced System Limited and Airbus conducted an agreement to set up a final assembly line by 2026 for H125 civilian helicopter. A final assembly line for C295 military transport aircraft has already been set up in Vadodara by the two partners. Collaborations between Saffron, the Defense Research and Development Organization, and its gas turbine research establishment is being stepped up for designing, developing, and producing an aircraft engine for India's fifth generation aircraft, advanced medium combat aircraft with 100% transfer of technology. This is a major step forward from the agreement concluded with the US to permit technology transfer to HAL to produce the General Electric F414 engine to power the Tejas Mk2 fighter aircraft. However, the GE engine is a 1990s design, while the Saffron project will entail defining parameters, co-designing, engineering certifications. In addition to production, Akasa Air has signed a $5 billion agreement for over 300 LEAP 1B engines to power its fleet. Acquisition of 170 Boeing Max aircraft. The engine is a Safran GE joint venture product to and together with Safran's Snecma engines powering the Rafale and Rafale M sets the stage for it to set up maintenance, repair, and operation in India. Cooperation in space domain began in the 1960s with France assistant to set up the Indian launch facility at Sriharikota, but languished in later years because of export control. The strategic dialogue helped restart this cooperation, and the Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO) and the French Space Agency now work on joint missions. The visit saw a new MOU being signed by New Space India Limited, a Government of India company under the Department of Space and commercial arm of ISRO, and French satellite launch company Ariana Space for collaboration on space launches in addition with France converting its air force into the French Air and Space Force and India setting up the Defence Space Agency. The two ministries of defence are looking to work together in optimizing space domains awarenesses, broadening and deepening the partnership. The challenge for both countries has been to take the partnership out of the government domain into commercial and civilian spaces. As a result, joint working groups on a range of subjects covering agriculture, environment, civil aviation, IT and telecom, urban development, transportation, culture and tourism have been set up over the years. One of the success stories has been the growing number of Indian students going to France for higher education. A decade ago it was less than 3,000 and today is upwards of 10,000. The latter target is now 30,000 by 2023, sorry, 2030. The the visa issue is being addressed with a 5-year Schengen visa for the Indian who pursue a postgraduate course in France. The operationalization of Young Professionals Scheme under the Migration and Mobility Partnership Agreement will help. Last year, the University Grants Commission revised rules regarding foreign universities setting up campuses in India. Sovereign University, established in the 13th century, is globally renowned, and he has a campus in the United Arab Emirates since 2006. A campus in India should be identified as a Priority objective. There are nearly 1,000 French companies in India, including 39 of the CAC 40, the most influential benchmark of performance in the French economy, while nearly 150 Indian businesses have been established a presence in France in the past. Indian companies saw the United Kingdom as the entry point for Europe post Brexit. France is an entry point for Europe and Francophonie. Strategic partnership does not require convergence on all issues but sensitivity so that differences where these exist are expressed in private and not publicly. This is where India-France ties nurtured over the last century reflect maturity and resilience. The next article is Finding Light in Myanmar Darkness. 3 years after an illegal military coup deprived Myanmar of limited democracy, the nation continues to fight in its inner demons. Dubbed the sick man of Southeast Asia, it sees no light at the end of the tunnel as its military regime, the political class, and ethnic organization persist with the violent conflict. This civil war has a little hope of a clear victory for anyone. Myanmar is a large multi-ethnic nation located in a strategic significant neighborhood. What happens in the country impacts its five neighbors: China, Laos, Thailand, Bangladesh, and India. Its fundamental target tragedy lies in the historical reality. Neither before nor during British colonial rule did it complete the task of nation building, the crafting of a unified policy where its a Burma majority and a mixture of ethnic and religious minority could live peacefully. Decades of military rule complicated the situation, and the latest coup compounded it. Triangular architecture, two pillars of the power architecture, the political class and ethnic groups are arranged against the third, the military. Now, all three facing trouble. The political class represented by the or unrecognized group called the National Unity Government (NUG) has defined the odds assets itself through militia units called the People's Defense Force. They have won many battles against the army, especially in rural Burma areas. The NUG has articulated its vision of a federal democratic union, but due to the regime's ruthless suppression, its leader operate underground or form Thailand opponents dismiss it is an entity existing only in cyberspace, but it has some political weight. The ethnic armed organizations have inflicted a heavy toll on the Myanmar military along the Thai border in the southeast and the Chinese border in northeast. The victory is secured at the end of 2023 by the Three Brotherhood Alliance comprising the Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army, the Arakan Army and the Tang National Army, Liberation Army shook the army as nothing else has had done before. Yet ethnic organizations remain divided. Some oppose the army, some support it quietly, and some stay neutral. Besides, some anti-army factions are active only when they are accused of China's backing the most powerful pillar of the power architecture, Tatma, though, or the military, has never faced such a dismal situation. Most people are opposed to it, viewing it as a usurper and oppressor force. It is seen as incompetent. Its failure to prevail over resistance is weakened its morale. There is now considerable discontent within the military against its current leadership. The media report that the days of Commander-in-Chief Min Aung Hlaing are numbered. Experts say that the second in command, General Sui Win, could assume leadership whether he has the right blend of firmness and resilience is not known. Given this situation, it is not surprising that the international community has failed to help Myanmar. Various attempts by the United Nations, ASEAN, Japan, and Myanmar's neighbors have been unable to move the country towards reconciliations. In particular, that military has resiled from the ASEAN 5 points consensus has dashed the region's hope for the safer settlement. India's interest of options. India's policy of maintaining cordial relation with the government while also supporting the cause of democracy has served both countries well and strengthened bilateral ties. But the situation now is different from the pre-COP years when the polit, polity worked when the politely worked in on unison to make the experiment with hybrid democracy work. India was helpful now with the divisiveness and violence as the nation's defining features. This policy needs a review. India should balance its friendly ties with the military government while broadening the space for engagement with other stakeholders. At the same time, it must not interfere in Myanmar's internal affairs. Only then can India protect its national interests. Several policy adoption should therefore be considered first. The inflow of refugees into Mizoram and Manipur has risen. There is also greater activism of Myanmar-based anti-India insurgents indulging in illegal activity along the border. This in turn has aggravated the security situation in Myanmar. The refugee burden is a special concern for Mizoram. All this has compelled India to undertake facing along the entire length of the border. Besides, the 2018 India-Myanmar Agreement on Free Movement regime is under reconsideration. Second, communications links with a certain component of the resistance such as the Chin National Army, Arkan Army, and the NUG need to be established as they given the upper hand in the battles against the military in areas broadening areas India. Third, a strong message of the need of cessation of violence and restoration of normalcy should be relate to both the government and the resistance. The transition to federal democracy, which India supports, can only come later. Fourth, India should consider convening a peace conclave of senior officials from the member states of Quad and ASEAN Troika comprising Indonesia, Laos, and Malaysia. The conclave can make a dispassionate evaluations of situation and offer Myanmar a blueprint and a practical assistance in moving total security and stability. Finally, seeking immense immediate freedom for Aung San Suu Kyi from her unjustified solidarity. Confinement should be a key element in the calculus of the conclave. Mr. Suki, who is still the most popular leader, holds the key to unlocking a better future. The next article is core sector output growth slowed to a 14-month low in December. Output growth of India's 8 crore sector slumped to 14-month low of 3.8% in December compared with an 8.3% pace a year earlier and a revised growth of 7.9% in November 2023. Electricity generation, which has a 20% weightage in the index of core industries (ICI) slipped to an 8-month low of 0.6%, while crude oil output shrank for second successive month by 1%, the sharpest slippage since June 2023. Yet the ICI released by the Commerce and Industry Ministry on Wednesday was 5.9% above November's levels and marked a 9-month peak in actual output levels. Coal production grew 10.6%, the slowest year-on-year uptick in 6 months, but output was at its highest level since April 2023. Refinery products and steel output also hit their highest level since April, despite annualized growth rates slowing sharply, with the former rising at a 9-month low pace of 2.6%, while steel grew at a 14-month low rate of 5.9%. Cement output recovered from a 4% contraction in November to expand 1.3% in December and was a sharp 18.7% higher in the sequential term, with the production levels at their highest since July. Fertilizer productions grew at a 7-month high rate of 5.8%, without levels also the highest since May. Natural gas production grew at a 3-month low rate of 6.6%. The core sector constitutes a little over 40% of the index of industrial productions (IIP), which had clocked an 8-month growth of 2.4% in November, and those levels may persist in December as well. As Bank of Baroda chief economist Madan Sabnavis expects IIP to record a 2% to 3% uptick in December, while ICRA chief economist Aditi Nair pegged it in the range of 1% to 3%. The IIP numbers for December will be released on February 12. The next article है Maldives turns Sri Lanka for medical evacuation support. The Maldives has sought Sri Lanka's assistance in medical evacuation services, mainly to transport patients to Colombo in air ambulances amid a persisting strain with India. Maldives Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation Mohammed Amin met his Sri Lankan counterpart Nirmal Siripala de Silva in Colombo on Tuesday and said on social media platform X that Sri Lanka has agreed to help the Maldives with medical evacuations. We have specially agreed upon creating a framework for immediate approval process between the Maldives and Sri Lanka on urgent requirements, especially on Med-Evac flight, Mr. Raman said in his post. The Maldives will use their air ambulances. This is to help keep this channel open and embassy for any emergency medical treatment that Maldivians might need in Sri Lanka. Mr. De Silva told the Hindu on Wednesday morning Sri Lanka and India are among the Maldives' closest neighbors, and Maldivians have always have close ties in Colombo, a city they frequent. The development comes amid President Mohammad Muizzu's apparent efforts to expand and diversify the island's nation's partnership in medical evacuations. In December, he announced setting up in air ambulances services beginning March 2024, and said it could help patients travel as far as Thailand. The need for prompt medical evacuations came into sharp focus earlier in January when a Maldivian teenager died, reportedly owing to a delay in evacuation for medical emergency treatment. Mr. Moijo's efforts also assume significance at a time when Mel and New Delhi grappled with strained ties following controversial remark made by the Maldivian minister targeting India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi and a boycott Maldives social media campaign in India. India's two naval choppers and Dornier aircraft stationed in Maldives have been involved in more than 600 medical evacuations, often from the alert to capital Malé. Search and rescue operations in the last 5 years, according to official sources in Malay. Mr. Moijus has set a 15-day deadline for New Delhi to withdraw its nearly 80 soldiers stationed in the country. New Delhi has said that they were posted there chiefly to operate and maintain the helicopters and aircrafts. So friends, this is all for today, and we'll meet from tomorrow onwards with new news articles which are relevant from UPSC perspectives. So till then, keep studying and thank you for watching this. Have a good day.